God, the Lord has been bringing me over. And so I ain't got time to be playing with you this morning. But what I found out is that when I lift my hands and I open up my mouth, there's some things that I need. Y'all see how I'm just walking the financial side, so here. I found out in the text says as he moves forward, see how the Spirit goes out about Dan, but they could not find any complaint about Daniel. The only thing they could find out is what God Daniel was serving. And it's interesting that the same God Daniel was serving is the same God that was orchestrating the whole movement. You need to understand that every now and then when you're going through, it's not always the enemy on your tracks. Every time you're going through, it's not always haters. Every now and then God will allow situations to hit your road. God will allow circumstances to be as they may to get you to move from your comfortable seat. I know you want to go shout because many of us like where we are. We like being comfortable. We like being free. We like being liked. But I wish I had about 15 individuals that said, I don't care if you did not like me. I don't care what you say about me. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not going to be like this always. Catch me next Sunday. Goes out about Dan, and Dan, here's the interesting thing about the text. The text never says nowhere where Dan turns around and deals with the folks who are talking about Dan. The interesting part about this text is that Dan doesn't pay attention because they're 2 steps behind there. And if they're 2 steps behind you, that just means you're 2 steps in front. I don't know why you sit back and talk to people who are less gifted than you, who ain't going nowhere, who are behind you. Don't you waste your time on folk who don't have a vision. Don't you waste your time on folk who don't know how to bless God. Don't you waste your time on folk who can't celebrate because you get not first. Turn around to deal with the haters. Because that's interesting because many of us lose our place of promise because we're so connected to the past and to the people who got less potential than we do. You ought not mess things up because folks are talking behind your back. Let them talk. They are. What they don't know that they're doing is they're just lifting you up a little higher. And the text says like this, he prepared the table before me. And the presence of the more hands I got, the bigger my table. Come take a seat. Dan does something so unique. He does not pay attention. Dan continues to move with his cool and suave self. And as he continues to matriculate through the text tells us that Dan continues to pray. Shut y'all up and take my seat right there. Here's the interesting thing about Dan. Dan does not only pay attention, he does not pay attention to the folk, but Dan then takes a shift and says, here's what I got to do. I got to remain focused on what it is God has me doing. I got to remain focused on my agenda because I know if I don't remain focused, I'm going to miss my next place. And so here it is, I'm going to remain in a state of prayer. But here's what I like about this prayer because Dan doesn't pray his haters away. Dan doesn't pray a situation away. But what Dan does is Dan gives thanks in the midst of his prayer. As suggests, I'm not even paying attention to what's going on around me. I know it looks bad right now. I know it looks tight right now. But what I've learned is God is getting ready to make me bigger. Touch about 5 neighbors around and say, here in this season, neighbor, don't ask for God to move nothing. Don't ask for God to move your problems. Don't ask for God to move your haters. Just say, Lord, make me bigger. Make me bigger than all the haters. God, make me bigger. Make me bigger than all the problems. God, make me bigger. I don't pay attention because you got time to play with some things. There's just some things I got to get by myself. And even if you don't catch on, neighbor, you got to understand you're sitting next to somebody who has been through too much to just sit quiet. You're sitting next to somebody who's just been through too much to just not lift my hands. You're sitting next to somebody who had not been with the Lord on my side. Where would I be? You're sitting next to somebody that had God not brought me through something. My worship is for real, so he says in his prayer, he thanks God. I don't have time to pray about things that are happening around me because that's fickle stuff. That's stuff that can change. I need to bless you, God, because I understand that not only am I not going to always be here, but that you're doing something even in the midst of these trials and tribulations. Yes, God, I thank you in spite of. Is there anybody in the building that is like all that's going on around you? You got to anyhow praise. That's all I came to tell you this morning. That if there's nothing else that you do, God, if you never open another door, if I never see anything else, I got to anyhow praise because I know you're able to do it. He texts him. Does not pay attention to him, but he prays. He does something so interesting. He prays with the doors open toward Jerusalem. And this is when every young person that ain't scared to own the Lord and says, as to say, I ain't never scared. I want you to see how I praise God. Keep it playing Lil Wayne right now. You'll hear me speaking tongues that now. If there's anybody in the building that can bless God, I want you to see how it is I handle the pressures of life. I want you to see how I stay consistent even though you think I'm out the ball. I want you to see how it is I bless the name of the Lord in spite of everything going on. And it says, there's some things I want you to see. Because I know you're looking at me to fail. I know you're wondering, am I going to fold under pressure? I know you're saying, am I going to make it this time? I know the enemy has already counted me out and told me to have a pity party, but I wish I had about 5 6 in the building that said, even this won't take me out. Even this is going to make my praise better. Even this is going to give me a greater prayer. Like even this is going to make me ready to shout, because when the Lord gets me out of this one, then opens the door toward Jerusalem. And he prays not once, not twice, but 3 times. It is custom for the Jews to pray. Not only does he do that, while he's praying, the folks are still conspiring against that. You need to understand that the closer you get to your breakthrough, the harder things may be. And for those of us who are sitting wondering, God, where are you? God is right there in the midst, telling you to hold on. Don't quit, because it's just around the corner. I know it's tight right now because I'm getting ready to bust through the seams right now. I know it ain't. But listen. I'm trying to help somebody. For those of us who are going through relentless attacks, for those of us who feel like the walls of life are just caving in, for those of us who feel like it's just not going to get any better, that means that God is setting you up for a ridiculous, unrelenting type of blessing that's getting ready to blow your mind. Is there anybody that can celebrate the fact that even though I don't see it right now, I'm lifting my hands and ready to receive, because whatever the Lord is doing in this. And he prays 3 times. They're still conspiring against some man, and they talk to the king. And they tell him, oh king, live forever. But that boy who you plan to put over the old kingdom, he been praying to his God. And you need to make a decree that whoever prays to another God, whoever does anything else besides worshiping you, is going to be thrown into the lion's den. And because he's not custom, he's not an Israelite, he has to do things according to his custom, according to his culture. And so here is a king who is not an Israelite, does what he has to do for his people. And so he makes a decree. And when he makes this decree, you got to understand that even him being the king does not understand the full conspiring against what they're trying to do against old Dan. Because the king loved Daniel. But it's so interesting because here, this king who loves old Dan makes this decree and then finds out that they're conspiring against Dan. But it was too late because king had made a decree. And it's interesting, they told king, why would you do what you had to do? Why would you have to put old Dan in the lion's den? Says, I'm the king, and I can't take back my word. I know y'all want to go shout because you didn't get it. And everybody go there, whoa, watch this. Says, I'm the king, and I can't take back my word. Let me put it one more time because maybe it should shock you. That's the king, and he can't take back his word. I know you didn't get it. Because many of you are still hounded by your past. You're hounded by things that you have not done. You're hounded by things that you did do. But the Lord is the king. And whatever the Lord said about you, whatever the Lord has declared according to what God has said, according to the promises in the plan, does not change just because you mess up every now and then. Here it is. I find it interesting, lady. I find it interesting because everywhere in the Bible, nobody passed every test. But God kept moving them forward. Y'all believe those shout. The reason why you all shout is not because you don't pass every test, but because God keeps moving you forward anyway. That's why you need to shout, because even though I'm not good, even though I ain't got it all together, I'm celebrating progress. Got time not to celebrate because I ain't got it all together. No, I ain't got it all together. But if you had known me some years ago, if you had known me last week, if you had known me last night, see, this time I walked away and cussed under my breath. I should have knocked you out, but the reason is I'm celebrating progress. You don't know me like that. I'm celebrating progress. I ain't always have this look on my face. I ain't always smiled at you and walked away. I ain't always had a good thought in my eye, but when you want to be just blessing God for the fact that there's progress. The king takes back the word. And the king puts Dan in the lion's den. But I like this because a Persian king who does not serve the same God that Dan serves not only puts Dan in the lion's den, but he does something significant that most people of prestige would not do. He not only uses his signet ring as to seal nothing changing concerning Dan's future, but he prays and fasts for Dan. God help me, you know. I don't know why y'all don't know how to shout. Y'all gotta appreciate Pastor. Y'all got an awesome